Sam Meyer.
Here.
Udell Pyatt.
Here.
Allison Sharp.
Here.
Oh, yay.
And Mark Spinty. Did I say that right? Yes.
He's traveling for the holiday.
Okay.
Unable to come.
Our two new members.
Welcome.
Ever meet?
If you, if the committee wants, you can go around, we can introduce ourselves and have Allison introduce herself.
Yeah. Well,
Since this is our first meeting.
well, my name is.
She's gonna get the idea that it's always a party. Drink.
Wait till that crash data comes out. I'm Daniel Krim. I ride my bicycle to work. I work at Aspie, Watkins and Diesel. I do personal injury law, so I do a lot of bicycle cases. And I love this group. Jen?
Jen Hanks. I ride all the bikes. I love all the bikes. Yeah, and I guess that's it. I just love bikes. Kevin was at my house this
no
week, and I
way.
think he saw all the bikes, so he can attest.
You should bring a photo.
You do have all the bikes. You love the bikes. That's great.
A little embarrassing, actually.
How many bikes?
Hi,
does Jen
everyone.
have?
Kevin Hayes. I'm a e-bike enthusiast. That's my primary vehicle around town. And I've done some bike safety stuff a little bit before being on this committee, and I absolutely love being on this committee.
Sam.
Hi, Allison. I'm Sam. I ride my bike as my primary form of transportation as well. I'm also on the board of Flagstaff Biking Organization. I made a cake that I would love to share with you, but you're not here. Sorry.
Yeah, so sorry I didn't come in person. I just miscalculated my time today.
Happens. Hey, I'm Valerie. I also love bikes. I guess if there was a subtopic, it would be transporting kids on bikes.
Mhm.
I'm
Kids on bikes.
a nurse. I work at the hospital. I made the stickers. Welcome.
Allison, who are you?
Yeah, I'm Allison. I work at North Country Healthcare and I'm a pharmacist there. I went to NAU for my bachelor's and that was my primary mode of transportation around town at that time. So I'm just starting to get back into biking now. Got my bike fixed up and yeah, I'm gonna start riding that around. I just, ride around town and run around. Anything outdoors. I'm a fan. Yeah, I'm happy to be a part of this committee. And again, I'm so sorry I didn't show up in person, but I'm excited to be a part of the group.
Excellent, Allison. Welcome. I'm always confused what to do with the people in the public. Do I announce them or? I would like to acknowledge people are here.
You at number 3?
Yeah,
If anybody has anything to,
our announcements are at the end now.
Yes.
Are they?
Okay, so open call to the public. Any announcements? Susan, David, anybody?
I will note that the curbs that are all along Butler are continually getting trashed. And a lot of them that aren't getting trashed anymore are the ones that they talked us into getting rid of. And the ones that we got rid of were the ones that were so trashed because cars kept drifting over there and destroying them. So I'm so glad that we took away the ones that were trashed. So that
They no longer protect.
they no longer protect the people that were behind those things. But yeah, I've been out in the public hearing a lot about this, but I don't know what the solution is yet either.
Well, there's a complete redesign of Butler coming in some number of years.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed. When I started in this group in 2016, that my one goal was to see Butler become a friendly bike
Well,
place.
there's some updates on that, and we'll have an update on that later in the meeting.
Good.
I promise, Carlton will give you an update on
And for
that.
those of you, I'm an alumni to this group and I was kept here long after my term was up. Illegally. And I have about 70 bikes in my yard. Only 15 are really mine.
Matthew, got anything for the good of the order?
Well, I've been working on, so I commute down Beaver and Benton, right by kind of Fratelli's, but a block south. So there's this water that appears to be a water leak coming out of Benton, the church on the corner. So I called the water company and reported it, and I went to the city website and reported that concern too. But it's a little, I reported it under drainage, so I don't know. Hopefully the city's able to address it. It looks like a city water leak that kind of goes over a crosswalk and then freezes. It creates a slip spot. And then the merging lanes, when you get to Butler, it also creates a bunch of ice right over the green lane. So hopefully we can get that.
Yeah. Thank you for doing that. That has been quite a hazard. I appreciate that greatly.
Especially 5 or 6 in the morning. That thing is solid ice.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm Kim Austin. I was kicked off this committee and pedestrian advisory committee. So now I just come because I miss you all. No, I work for Metroplan, and so I will report that we are working with AECom to produce an existing conditions report on schools with the Safe Routes to School project. So I look forward to bringing you those results sometime in early 2026. So
Good stuff.
walking, biking, cars, the whole bit around school.
Stella?
I don't have a public comment, but.
Come on, everybody's doing it.
I think is good.
Just indicate how many months you overstayed your welcome.
Yeah.
Plus. Yeah, Stella Hollander, a former member of the BAC. Last month was my last meeting, so just still here. But yeah, I was on it, I think 2018 through 2025. And Sam, the cake is wonderful.
The cake is very
Good. You're here.
Yeah, hi, everybody. I'm Jake. I work for the City Sustainability Office, but I've been wanting to get involved with this committee for a while. And so this is just kind of my first foray into learning a little bit about what you all do. I help to prop up a lot of the city's kind of internal micromobility efforts, and Chris and Carlton and Martin on all those. But I don't have any particular comment, but also a full-time bike rider, commuter. So I'll bring some complaints next time to really get everybody.
Do you have any experience, just perchance, with transporting golf clubs by bike?
I am always willing to step up to the challenge, but luckily I have some colleagues that give me a ride.
Is that a retirement dream or?
Oh, Martin.
I really want to figure out how to put skis on the bike so I can ski.
Well, I've seen there's things that you can add. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen them. Yeah,
Surfboard, skis.
yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna take the bus up to.
There you go. Yeah, that's the
Okay.
move.
That exists.
I did have to
Very
watch the
Flagstaff.
cake down. I couldn't figure out how to transport it without risking the whole thing.
Any public comments online?
Daniel, I would just include that Paul Mood in the chat said, send me the location and a photo of Matt Mitchell's comment, and he'll address it with water services. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I got photos.
Yeah, very good.
Didn't get for them.
Sounds good. What's your cell phone, Paul? Text them to you. Approval of minutes next time?
The October 23rd minutes combined meeting with PAC are ready for your approval if you.
Did you email them out? I missed them. I apologize. Did anybody else read them?
I missed.
Can we post-retirement approval of minutes?
Oh, absolutely. And that probably, it probably is my fault. We've gone to like a completely online format. So all the attachments are links, sometimes a click or two within, underneath the agenda.
I'll do better with that next time.
Maybe it'd be helpful to kind of go through the agenda at some point, just
Can you pull it up?
see where, yeah.
I have one more public comment.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you for making the agendas only one page. I dreamt of that the whole time I was here.
Back.
From 2016.
Okay, but two-sided. Yes.
Two-sided, yeah.
It's up behind. So this is the link that will be is included in the agenda packet, or in the email, I should say. And if something is highlighted in blue, it means a hyperlink. So in this case, if clicking on it will bring up the draft minutes in a separate window. For other items, if you click on it, it brings up the staff report, which includes a couple of boxes. And in this case, the actual report is attached. Again, it pops up in a new window. So if I go back, rest of our items are on here as well. So this one, for example, has the meeting dates on it. Oops, I'm way ahead of you. Sorry. I think my computer doesn't show. When new windows open, it doesn't show up on the screen. I apologize. I thought it's tracking along. Does that help?
Yeah.
So everything
That's
is,
helpful.
no more attachments in the email, but everything is is gonna be like a link.
Clean.
Yeah, similar to the city council for this for a number of years. In this kind of format. But we'll save the minutes for the next meeting.
Okay, I appreciate that. And has PAC voted on those minutes yet?
I believe that they got their combined meeting minutes.
Okay.
From October.
We'll get their feedback and then. So we're gonna go to the mode share report. Want some cake, Trey?
Yeah, I was
We
just
got
gonna,
cake,
yeah, I was just gonna bring it.
celebratory cake, I guess we have to, right?
Cake and a sticker.
Challenge yourself.
I thought it was mostly Martin, you're supposed to eat 90%. Thought that was the Trump administration move. Anything that's shared, you eat 90% and then everybody else splits 10%.
Sam, can I also get one?
Oh, yeah, you didn't get one? Did anyone else not get cake? Okay.
So just by way of context, this is something that we originally prepared as background data for the active transportation master plan. I believe we've updated it at least once since then as new information comes available. Recently, I guess I should say about a year ago, Metro Plan updated their trip diary survey, which is one of the prime sources of information for this report. So in response to that, we updated the information again. And of course, the census information is kind of updated annually. So whatever's the most recent, we can include as well. I'm going to go through this relatively quickly, but I did want to kind of also by context, just highlight a couple of things in the introduction. In the ATMP, there's a chapter that includes a variety of outcomes, indicators, and targets. Outcomes are the good things that we want to happen as a result of improving the bicycle environment, bicycle infrastructure in town. Indicators are the things that tell us that those outcomes are happening or that things are improving. So for example, one of our outcomes Pull that up.
Are you guys sitting out online? Can you sit out, Allison?
So one of our outcomes is that walking and biking are frequently used transportation options for everyone. And the indicator is mode share. So the percentage of trips made on foot and by bicycle is increasing based on the trip diary survey. Another outcome is the mode share for work trips. Another indicator for that. And for that, we use the data from the census. Another outcome is walking and biking are enjoyed by everyone in the community. And the indicator is mode share for specific populations, for example, mode share across age, gender, race, and income demographics. So that's the reason. So again, we collect this information and make it available to you and to the public to be able to tell if we're achieving those outcomes and hitting those indicators. The ATMP also has 2 specific targets related to mode share, shown here in this table on the right. The current numbers we had in 2022 indicated that for all trips, about 27% are made by a combination of walking, biking, and transit. And for the work trips, about 17%. Our targets are based on 5 years from that date, so 2027, and 20 years from that date, so 2042. And if you look at that math, for 2027, our target is 1.5 times the current. And for 20 years, our target is twice the current. So we go from 27% to 54%, for example. A bold target, but something to work for. So those are some of the reasons why we collect this information, so we can kind of track our progress and see if we're hitting those targets or not and how we're doing. So I'm going to go back to this, and I'm just going to highlight a couple of things. These are the latest results from the trip diary survey. And what this graph tells us is that walking trips in green account for 26.4% of all trips. Bike trips are 7.9%. Transit trips are 8.2%. And that leaves private vehicle at 57.5%. That's part of the story. The rest of it is we look at the numbers over time, and we're able to track it over time because MetroPlan has conducted this survey every 6 years since 2006. So we have 4 points of data to look at kind of trends over time. The interesting thing here is for 3 of the surveys, walking was fairly consistent, and then for a number of reasons, it skyrocketed in 2024. Part of the reason for that big jump is they were collecting data differently using electronic means this time. I think if you look at the actual report, there's a link in here. It will go through a number of other reasons why they think there was kind of that dramatic jump. I mean, aside from the fact that there are a number of reasons for it, there is, evidence in other places that the walk share is improving. Transit has increased steadily. 2006, it was 2.8%. 2024, it's 8.2%. Biking, I think, has been at best consistent over the years. It was 8.7% in 2006, it's 7.9% in 2024. We'll see a couple of other sources of data that indicate even a decline in cycling. To WIT, go. This is the data over time from the census. What they track is how people travel to work. So it's not all trips, but just how people commute. They use some of the same categories: walking, biking, and transit, personal vehicle. They also add a category for working from home, which becomes important. We'll see some of those trends. Each one of these data points is a year, but it represents an average of the 5 years before it. So it's kind of a rolling 5-year. Census also collects 1-year data, but it's more current and topical, but it tends to bounce around if you look at a graph of it. So here we can see walking in green generally had an upward trend until about 2018, and then has been kind of dropping. Transit went up, went down a little bit, has been steady and going up. And then, like I indicated before, it looks like cycling in general is kind of on a downward trend. We were at a high of 5% as late as 2014, and currently we're at 2.4%. We've been at 2.4% for the last 3 data points, so to 2021, 22, and 23. And again, I'm not a statistician. I'm not sure exactly how to interpret all these, but I think because it's a rolling 5-year average, like it takes a little bit longer for positive gains to show up. Anybody confirm that? Is that like generally a true statement?
That's definitely what happens when you roll averages.
Okay. And then this shows overall walk, bike, transit mode share in that same time period. So again, green is walking, blue is bicycling, and red is transit. And you can see it kind of follows a similar pattern to walking from the previous, but at a high, we had 18.7% of trips made by those 3 modes. Again, this is journey to work, and currently we're at 13.6. And then if we look at all modes, including the working from home, which is shown here in brown, we can kind of see how things track. And actually, and so everything else is in these lower categories, and then what's left is driving to work in private vehicles in the upper one. You can actually see that number is shrinking, but it's largely on the basis of big increases in people who are working from home. I mean, at some level, it's beneficial because it means that's fewer cars on the road, basically, overall. And here's a specific graph just for the work from home numbers, and you can see as far back as 2019, that was increasing. And of course, we all know the reasons for this big jump, but that has continued to climb since the pandemic to the point where 12.0% of people work from home in this city. That's kind of what that indicates. Here's the 1-year averages, and I said they kind of jump around, so you can see that here. One thing the Metro Plan does in its trip diary surveys is they divide survey respondents into geography based on where they are in the region. And the 3 geographies are the core area. So everything in downtown, south side, NAU, Woodlands Village, town site around the hospital is considered the core. So the very central part. The rest of Flagstaff, so everything within city limits, but not in the core, is the second category. And then the rest of the region, so all the outlying communities like Belmont, Stony Park, Kachina, et cetera, are included in that. And then mode share for each of those regions can be tracked as well. And not surprisingly, people who live in the core are much more likely to walk, bike, or use transit than other regions. You can see here I don't know what that in total is, 50.5%. And then it drops fairly considerably for the rest of Flagstaff, and then even more for the rest of the region. There are some interesting differences in geography if you look at it over time. So this table shows the combined walk, bike, transit mode share for those 4 years by geography. And the green line here is the core area. So again, this is combined walk, bike, transit. You can see it went up significantly in those since 2006. In the rest of the city, things have been fairly stable. In fact, we are pretty much at the same place we were in 2006, but in the intervening years, it dropped twice. And then in the rest of the region, it's been going up, but they're fairly low numbers overall. So this is interesting because what it tells us is there's a dynamic or phenomena in the core region that are encouraging people to walk, bike, and use transit more. And I think it's probably not difficult to imagine what those reasons are. Over the years, we've added a lot of housing and development to the core area, less so in the rest of the city. NAU has more than doubled its population in the time frame we have. So that's a lot more people who are apt to walk, bike, or use transit for their college trips. And just generally, I think that improvements in walking and biking have probably been centered more in the core area than the outlying areas. And this has been, we've kind of tracked this for a couple of years, and that the numbers have been consistently showing in that direction. So I guess the lesson might be whatever we're doing in the core, can that be replicated more or less in the rest of Flagstaff to give people better opportunities for walking and biking and taking the bus. We track mode share by students. This went up considerably from previous surveys. For their school trips, only 8.5% are made by vehicle. For all student trips, only 19% are made by private vehicle. You can see some pretty considerable numbers for walking in transit especially. And then this is kind of tracked over time. So this is all trips for NAU students. See, walking, again, kind of follow that same pattern. Actually, they all followed kind of the same pattern as the entire population. And even among students for all their trips, cycling is showing a decline.
Does, we've all noticed a lot of the e-cycle, e-scooters, e-whatevers showing up on campus. Are they included in any of those groups?
I don't know, honestly. I think they would be, they may have been tracked as part of pedestrians, and they may have been tracked separately for 2024, since they were enough of a phenomenon at that point to count, but I'm not sure. I'd say I do a little research on that and get back to you, but we both know that.
That information is dead.
I'm gonna look and see in the files, Martin. Considering
When are you
it was
retiring?
from Metro Plan, so I can go look and see if scooters and e-bikes were counted in the trip diaries and how it was represented. So I'll go look.
We did, in one of the previous meetings, we looked at crash data, and we don't have the information for crash data either. Like scooters are counted as pedestrians, basically. We can't find out which ones were scooters and which ones were pedestrians. However, in the new crash report, they have a checkbox for scooters. So in future
One wheels.
reports, yeah, you'll be able to tell,
Yeah.
get specific data for people on scooters. I don't remember, Chris, do you remember, is e-bikes also a category? Is that not?
You mean
Is that
like
being
the
tracked?
police report form?
Yeah.
I can't remember. There's a ton of boxes to check, but I don't think that, yeah.
Okay, a couple other things we'll go through quickly. The census data gives us an opportunity to compare ourselves to state and national averages. So this green, blue, red shows transit, comparing Flagstaff to the rest of Arizona, to the rest of the country. And generally for walking and biking, we do much better than Arizona and the rest of the country. For transit, actually, we lag behind the rest of the country in transit mode share. That's got to be the influence of bigger metropolitan areas where transit is more readily available.
Zoom in again, Martin.
Sorry.
Thank you.
And overall, again, these are trips to work. So our walk, bike, transit mode share is 13.6%, well above Arizona and well above the rest of the country. And then correspondingly, our private vehicle use is somewhat less. We can also compare ourselves to other Arizona cities. These are all cities with a population of 40,000. For walking, we outpace any other communities in the state. For bicycling, we're essentially tied with Tempe, just above Tucson. And for transit, we're a bit behind Tempe and tied with Tucson. And then overall, pretty much on the basis of walking mode share, we outpace the rest of those communities. We can compare ourselves to other cities that we would consider our peers. We made a list of 20 of them based on similar size, being in the West, and having a major university. And then over here, we can see, are they a bike-friendly community or are they a walk-friendly community? So most of them, in fact, are bike-friendly communities. In fact, a couple, B2 that are at the platinum level among our peers, so there it is kind of by map. Yeah, let's blow it. So this is all 21, including Flagstaff and the average from top to bottom. So Moscow, Russia has possibly Idaho.
They're a much better biking community than Pullman. Pullman has too many hills.
You can see for walking, we do better than the average. And kind of in the upper echelon. For biking, we're a bit below average. For transit, we're a bit above average. So I mean, we're kind of hovering in that middle range. And it's interesting, these are all our peers, but there's considerable variation between all of them. And we didn't discriminate on, who we thought did well or not. We just kind of just based it on population and presence of the university.
So it doesn't include like physical size of the city, for example?
No, like by area?
Yes.
No, or topography or, any of those things. I think it might be interesting if anybody's looking for extra credit research project to look at like the ratio of students to population and see how much of a difference that makes. Because I imagine like Pullman
Pullman has the highest per
and
capita.
Moscow are just students.
And it seems interesting, am I seeing this correctly? We perform higher for pedestrian and we have more people that are walking too. Like our per capita, okay.
Yeah, so this is all how people get to work.
Okay.
So we have a higher percentage of people who are walking to work than all the communities below us.
Do we know how many people did the trip diary? Like how much data are we working with?
It's statistically significant. I believe it's around, it's a random sample. I mean, it's around 400, I believe, that respond.
Well, you said you did electronic most recently, so did that really boost the response?
Not as much as you would think.
Really?
Like previous years were all paper.
Yeah.
There were a little bit less, but not significantly less responses. And then, of course, the thing that never gets reported is depending on how many responses you get, there's a margin of error. We never, something could be 5% plus or minus 3%, which means it could be anywhere between 2 and 8%, really.
Well, I did it and I had a very weird day and it was very unrepresentative of my life. And I feel like I'm the one that threw this whole data set.
Write that down.
Kicked off the committee.
It is random. So if you're like sick that day, you just have, I didn't go anywhere. I have nothing to report. So here it is overall, walk, bike and transit. Where's Flagstaff? Somewhere in the middle at 13.6, tied with Bozeman, just above Bellingham. Then the corresponding one is private vehicle trips, and you can see Boulder kind of leads the way at 45.5%, which is pretty remarkable. And we'll see in a moment what's happening in Boulder. A whole lot of people are working from home. Look at, there's not a percentage on there, but that's pretty significant. We also pulled up, these aren't scientific, but they are walk, bike and transit score. If you're interested, this is all on the website, walkscore.com or walkscore. That's at walkscore.com. It started, I think, as like a real estate thing, so you could like check a neighborhood where you're thinking of renting or buying a house, see what the walk score is to kind of gauge how easy it is to walk to get your basic services. And it's kind of taken off and gotten that kind of a life of its own. And they've expanded into having a bike score and a transit score as well. So we can pull all those for our peers and see where we land. This is a bit ironic because for walk score, we're actually below average and kind of in the lower part, even though our walking mode share is pretty high. Again, that's probably, extra credit research project on why that is the case. Here's bike score. We're a little bit above average, closer to the top. And then the last one, here's in addition to bike score, we collect people for bike city ratings, which uses a different methodology. But again, we can get that information for all of our peers. We're right at average pretty much. And then the final one is transit score, and this isn't available for all of our peers, but you can see where we land relative to the 11 or so. Finally, we talked about other demographics. So we collected mode share by gender, first off. This information is available for Flagstaff. What we see here is that women are slightly more likely to walk, less likely to ride bikes. I think that we probably could have guessed that thinking, and slightly less likely to go by transit. Overall, women are slightly less likely to walk, bike, or take transit than men. And then you can see this bottom one is kind of the trends over time. So we can do the same thing for race. And for the next three categories, the data is not available for Flagstaff specifically, but it is available for Coconino County. What that means is that Coconino County is very large. There's a lot of areas outside of Flagstaff that aren't particularly conducive to walking, riding your bike, or taking transit. So the numbers are going to be a little bit different. And here for race, we just use two categories, white only for the census and non-white, which is the other categories. So non-white, slightly less likely to walk, much less likely to ride their bike, but more likely to take transit. Overall, less likely than the white population. And you can see here at the bottom that track the trends. Poverty status, the two categories are above the poverty line and below the poverty line. And here we can see that individuals who are below the poverty line are more likely to walk, ride their bike, or take transit to work. Again, I think if we imagine what we thought the results would be ahead of time, this wouldn't be at odds with that. And here are the trends over time. So as a combined mode, it's pretty significant difference above the poverty line, below the poverty line. Our last category is disability status. And this is a category in the census where people are asked to, there's a definition in here, but kind of asked to self-identify if they have a disability or not. And so our dividing line is people who identify as having a disability and people who don't. There's another interesting part of this data that isn't in here, but there's a significant percentage of the population that identifies as having a disability that is not in the workforce. They don't work. And I imagine those two things are maybe related. But this is the people who are going to work. And you can see for walking, people with disability are just slightly more likely to walk to work, much more likely to bike to work, and much more likely to take transit to work. So I think, this is, to me, data is just data for data's sake is intrinsically interesting. I think this can kind of tell us something like where, who are we reaching, who are facilities serving, who are we talking to? Because there are populations that we don't often reach who are walking, biking, and taking transit for, in some cases by choice, in other cases not necessarily by choice, but maybe their best option. And so it kind of points to our obligation to make sure that we are achieving that outcome from the ATMP, that walking and biking are available to everyone in the community and not just particular groups. And same thing, we can see the combined walk, bike, transit, and then the trends over time. So that's the last page of this report. I think in your agenda, we have it as an action item. Your vote would be to accept it, the report, and forward it to the Transportation Commission. We didn't have it quite buttoned up for pedestrian committee last week, and so they held this item over to their January meeting. If you want to spend more time with it, you're more than welcome to, and hold it over to your January meeting. If we forward it to the Transportation Commission, that would be for the February meeting, for their February meeting. So we have time to do that, in other words.
Good with the numbers. I mean, like the numbers are the numbers. Do you guys want to look at it a little bit more though? You have an opinion either way?
No, I think the numbers are good.
It's our first day.
You go. We still have a quorum. There you
We're there.
go. You got Allison? I'll make a motion to forward this to the Transportation Committee.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any nays? Any nays? Ayes have it. Here's something. Who seconded?
I did.
Small break, but you guys continue without me. What's the next item? I should probably. The capital planning, pedestrian and bicycle projects. I'll be right back though. Please carry on.
So every year at this time, the city updates its 5-year capital plan. We have a dedicated funding source and a distinct category for pedestrian and bicycle projects. So every year we ask the pedestrian committee, the bicycle committee to kind of review our updates to the capital plan. We don't start from scratch every year, that this process kind of evolves. We've been through a number of rounds of identifying projects and prioritizing them. And so we're still kind of basing our planning efforts on that effort. We do update it every year based on things that have happened. New streets get built, developments go in, grants are obtained, things like that. So every year we kind of relook at it based on what's changed from the last year and make adjustments as necessary. We typically start around October timeframe, and the staff part of it wraps up in January, where we have due dates to submit all of our requests. It goes through a process of internal review and then council review, including a council retreat in April, and then final council approval sometime in June. The capital plan itself is based on a 5-year time period. Whatever we ask for next year is essentially a budget request. If it's approved, we have money beginning the fiscal year, July 1st. Years 2 through 5 are the projects we want to be working on over the next couple of years. And we program money to kind of reserve a spot for it. And then as those years roll forward, presumably that money rolls forward and becomes part of our budget, and those projects get built. It is a planning tool, so we are kind of forced to look at our priorities, what we want to work on, what we're working on next. It also is for the public to provide transparency to see what's coming, like what they can expect and what are the city's priorities. City council typically wants us to have based this on a public process, so there's engagement, the public has been involved. This reflects to some degree what the community wants and sees as priorities. When we do it, we divide ped and bike projects into a handful of categories. I'm going to go through them here. The first one is general. Planning and programming are some staff salaries. Project development and pre-design are money that we set aside to do preliminary looks at projects before they're actually budgeted or in the program. So we can get a better idea of how they're going to work out. The Vision Zero plan is a carryover from a number of years ago, but it is being used as the match for the Safe Streets Master Plan. Part of this number in project development pre-design, we're planning this year to expand to look at kind of a number of street corridors to identify and prioritize projects. And the reason we're doing this is that these corridors typically have a combination of ped and bike facilities missing or needed. So there might be sidewalks missing, there might be a foot trail planned, bike lanes, crossings, and we want to get kind of a comprehensive look at the whole street corridor instead of just like planning for new sidewalks or planning for crossings to get kind of a better concept of what's needed to make that a complete street. So there are 4 in here that are already underway. Cedar Avenue and 6th are part of the Safe Routes to School. Fort Valley Road is part of a transportation alternatives grant that the city will be starting on next year. And Lone Tree Road is a capital effort to look at the Lone Tree corridor in terms of its cross section and ped and bike facilities. So those things are already happening and will be going on next year or two. For future ones, these have been arbitrarily divided into first priority and second priority. First priority is 4th Street, Route 66 to West. Part of this is in response to the fact that we have missing sidewalks on the east side that have long shown up as priorities for sidewalks, but we don't have right of way and they're difficult to implement. So our thought is to take kind of a comprehensive look at the corridor and see what options we have. The benefit of that is we may get more than just sidewalks. There might be opportunities for other crossings and better bike facilities. Lake Mary Road is a very similar story to what I mentioned. We had missing sidewalks, we have a foot trail, we have crossings that aren't obvious where they might go, and we could do better bike facilities. So we thought, let's do a more thorough review of that corridor to see what our plans might look like. Steves and Laken is missing all of the things, including sidewalks. We started to tackle it as a design exercise as part of the First Mile, Last Mile grant, and just could not figure out how everything is going to fit. So we want to take a step back and see if we can come up with some comprehensive designs for sidewalks and bike lanes and even crossings in that section. One of the benefits of that area is that could serve that whole neighborhood to the north, which doesn't have sidewalks in the whole neighborhood. Second priority includes 7th Avenue from 4th to Laken. It actually has sidewalks. It has bike lanes. It still isn't a very pleasant street for some reason. And I think the city's beautification is interested in that one as well. That's one of the significant things that lacks is beauty. Country Club from Solera to Oakmont. We have a foot trail that we can include as part of another project, but I think we can do a more comprehensive look at sidewalks and bikeways along there. And McConnell has been kind of an ongoing thing. Think about it from Woodlands all the way into campus. We have 3 different jurisdictions, the city, ADOT, and NAU. And it's kind of a real mixed bag of facilities. But if you're there ever in the morning when school's in session, there's a lot of students that are using that roadway, even though I would say that facilities are far below ideal or even acceptable. Any questions on that notion? This is kind of a new idea. I think we'll have to figure out how this gets implemented or how we undertake this, but I think we have a couple of options. We can move on to foots. I got it divided into kind of a system-wide thing. So we include some money for foot signing to add signing for new trails. We have a fund for just kind of spot improvements as they come up. And then we just did all the asphalt trail replacement. That was a pretty big capital project, but we're planning to have an amount of money available in 5 years to refresh the asphalt and seal coat it to extend its life. Some of the projects, and we'll look at these on a map too, if you have any questions about where they are. In this column, a 0 indicates that it's ongoing or underway. And a 1 means that it will be in the first year of the program or is already budgeted. A 5 means it will be in years 2 through 5. So Schweitzer Canyon's under construction. We'll need a little bit of money to finish it. Mountain View is really the extension of Lone Tree from what's being built now for the Lone Tree corridor, including the overpass, onto campus through the corner of the cemetery. Sinclair Ridge is a connection out to De Miguel. Sawmill connects the trail behind Alara and student housing on Sawmill Road down to Sinclair Wash. Fox Glen is on the east side, is being built in conjunction with a residential development very close to Fox Glen Park. And then Southwest Crossing is a city property behind Staples, between like the back of Staples and Highland Mesa, that has been programmed as a park. And we're funding relocation of the Foots Trail through there. And then a handful, I won't go through these in detail specifically, but a handful for years out. And then there's another category that would fall into the years 6 through 10 in a capital program, but there are trails that we want to do a little bit more design for or concept planning for. And once that's done, they may end up in the 5-year plan, depending on the results. And all of this work can be funded by this project development and pre-design. So we've started that on a couple of projects. It seems very beneficial in terms of moving these projects forward. And then I've listed, there's a handful of trails that are being built in private development. I think you've seen this before, but we have a category for single track trails that provide a connection between our foot system and the forest or other regional open space. These tend to be a lot cheaper, so we have a handful of them programmed. We're in the process of collecting property rights for a lot of these with the idea that once we have those property rights, they may be able to move forward. Sidewalks, I won't spend a ton of time on unless you have specific questions. Sidewalk infill is just short pieces that are missing where sidewalks are otherwise present. Got a couple of projects for next year, a couple for the next 5 years. I'll spend a little bit more time on bikeways. We have been including money in these categories for a while, but we just haven't figured out how to spend that money or what to do with it. So we need to kind of bridge that gap between having money available in a capital plan or in the budget and figuring out what we're going to do with it and how to actually spend it. So we have a category for bikeway striping. Chris and Carlton and I have been going through a number of streets and figuring out where we're missing bike lanes, how they might be added. If there's not room, is there an opportunity for shared lane markings or other treatments? I'm just trying to figure out a way to better complete our bikeway network just on the basis of striping. Signing is something that we've talked about here before. Again, I think this is a good example of one that we need to figure out how to move it forward to get closer to implementation. Same with bicycle parking, like we've just been using it for kind of spot things, but is there something more comprehensive that could be done to improve bike parking? 2 projects, one of course is Butler Avenue Complete Streets, that's ongoing. We've included the Highway 180 shoulder. This is just past city limits. If you're familiar with, if you've ever ridden out to Snowball, for example, you undoubtedly know where this is. It will likely be included as part of the Transportation Alternatives Grant for Fort Valley. We've identified 3 bikeways that could use more planning work. I'll show those to you in a map. They're pretty central, really, Milton, Santa Fe, and then one over on the east side to provide a better connection. And then for a while, we've had the concept of bike boulevards in the capital plan, and maybe this is our opportunity to figure out how those would be, what those would look like and how they'd be implemented. So we thought of 4 initially: Kendrick, over in Presidio, Lawrence, in Plaza Vieja, and then South Side through the South Side neighborhood. Enhanced crossings, there's a long list on Fort Valley and Solier that are funded with first mile, last mile. We're working to try to get those built next summer, but plans are close to being wrapped up. We're working with ADOT on the Fort Valley ones. The money is there in the first mile, last mile grant. Humphreys at Fine, we have money in the budget for. We've been working with ADOT to move that forward. And Lake Mary Road at Wallapai, we started with another project and are partway through design, so we can fund that project and finish it. And then a couple that we want to, well, here's a couple in further out years. Route 66 in Santa Fe is in the far west, like where Timber Sky is in the Public Works facility. Woodlands Village Boulevard at Foots. This is the crossing by Big Five. We've had that on the program for a number of years. We just needs to be studied further, and we need to figure out what to do with it.
I did that the other day. It was terrible.
I should mention, you know, I say these things need to be studied, and then Valerie says these things need to be done. And I think that's it's a much better way of putting it. These things need to be done. And our thought is, you know, some things need further, like we need to work through a design process. We need to kind of figure out how they're gonna work. We don't want to be like more than a step or two removed from building something. So if we're working on something, it's not just to study it idly, but to actually move it forward to get it closer to being built. Because nothing really matters in all the things that we measure unless we're actually doing things on the ground. We can talk all we want, but yeah.
I can study it right now, but.
I mean, I think we could probably pull the room and get like a really good answer. Somebody just draw that up and we'll build it.
Martin, is there like a public facing platform where people can see like progress updates on these?
There is. We'll see that in a moment. I mean, it's public facing, but nobody knows where it is. We could, advertise. One thing that we're trying to collect the information on is what we've done so far too, to see like what projects have been constructed to add to it. We'll look at grade separated crossings. There's actually a handful that are in the works, but they're mainly being done outside of our capital programs, like by private development or part of roadways. So let's go ahead and switch to that map and I'll show you how that works. Give me just a moment here. Switch over. Okay, so this map is available on the web. It actually is public facing, but unless you know where to find it, we haven't really advertised it. But what we've done is included all the categories that we just went through with kind of a more visual representation of where those projects are. So I'll click on Foots Trails, and we can turn on existing trails. For whatever reason, this has been a little bit slow for the last couple of weeks, so just takes a moment. So I'll zoom in a bit too. There's existing trails. Here are planned trails. We can look at planned trails by our priority. So red is first, orange, light blue, then dark blue. And then this is the visual representation of what we saw in that capital plan. So dark red is year 1. Medium red is years 2 through 5. And then the ones that we want to start doing concept planning for with the idea of moving them into the capital program are shown in kind of that salmon color. So we can zoom way in. Here, this is a Schweitzer Canyon Trail, for example. It's underway. It's mostly done, but it needs a little bit of work to finish. And that's where it will connect. Here's Sawmill. So there's actually an existing trail behind Alara. We're gonna connect it down to the Sinclair Wash. I think we'll try this. I'm not sure how well it works, but I think you should be able to click on these and get information as well.
So will this show whether they're open or not?
Well, everything is either planned or existing. So only the existing ones are gonna be open.
As they're completed, do they get switched?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
they'll be moved over. And then we can also look at, turn a few of these off just for clarity. But these are foot trails that are getting built as part of other projects. So this little cluster of blue is part of the Lone Tree Overpass. These shown in orange are part of private development. And these downtown are part of either the Downtown Mile or the Rio to Flag project.
What's the timeline on the purple?
Unknown.
Okay.
I mean, it's interesting. Generally, we try to only include things that we know are within the next couple of years, like are on their way. We've been working the Rio to Flag project for a long time. I don't know if we could qualify that as imminent. It may still be a few years before that's built. So I think would be a fair comment to, say that we should probably take that off unless we know a better time frame for it.
Yeah, other little purple.
That's part of the Downtown Mile and not reliance on
That's
the.
what we're gonna ask about that. Florence, connector, part of the Downtown Mile as well, so. I don't know, like, is Downtown Mile like BT or NSF or like who do you talk to about that?
It's moving. We just reviewed 95% plans.
Oh, nice, okay.
Probably has a construction schedule
Sweet.
in mind, so it's closer than ever to moving forward.
Cool.
I just need to say I've been looking forward to that since my daughter was in daycare and now she's in second grade.
Tell her to hold on.
People have been waiting longer than that. That's when I push for this. You I do fast.
Yeah.
Courtney, that data, when you select a segment, does it have information about where it is in the process in it, or is that just the color indicates where?
Just the color indicates, yeah. I mean, I appreciate that piece of information, but it would be
Too hard to.
too hard to keep up to date. Yeah, and and I think if it fell out of date, it would do nobody any good to have out of date information. And we can look at other categories too for like enhanced crossings. This is like beacon crossings for the most part, where they're existing, where they're planned, what our priorities are. And then what we're working on. So here are the 4 along Fort Valley. Here are the 5 along Solier that are part of first mile, last mile. Here's Humphreys and Fine. Here's the one out by Timber Sky. Here's the one by Big 5. A couple that are planned as part of other projects. I'm going to turn on grade separated crossings so we can look at that. There they are. So everything in purple is part of the Downtown Mile or Rio to Flag. The blue, this cluster of blue is Lone Tree Overpass. A few other roadway projects and a couple that are part of private development. And these kind of float in space, like it's hard to get any context for. But if we go back to foot trails and turn on existing, and planned, you can actually see that these are very much part of Foot's plan. So you can see what like where that's located. I'll show you one other thing. These are the complete streets corridors that we had in that very first category. And we haven't looked at bikeways yet, although bikeways are a little bit different when we think of them in terms of capital, because they're not as easy to render to a map. The next item on the agenda is the bikeways plan, but I can easily kind of transition into that. We can sort of treat them as the same, if that's okay. Yeah. So for bikeways, sorry, let me turn that off. For bikeways, we have our hierarchy. And we have a lot of bikeways planned. So purple is the first priority, first level, orange is second, blue is third. We could look at what's existing. So here, if I expand this, we can tell dashed purple is a shared lane marking. Blue is a bike lane. Red is separated. These need to be updated, by the way, that not all this data is up to date, but we're working on that. Orange is a foot trail that's part of the bikeways. That's kind of what we have now. If you look at the plan, it's much more robust and includes future streets. And if I expand this, we've added a whole bunch of categories for bikeway facilities. There's a different set of information for intersections and crossings. Those we've kind of categorized as beacon crossings, enhanced crossings, grade separated crossings. Separated, which is really like a protected intersection, or a more run-of-the-mill signal or roundabout. And I'll turn that off so you can get kind of a better view of where the crossings are. But really, these two things work in conjunction with each other, right? Like, it's one thing to have a bikeway, but if you have to cross Milton, how do you get across Milton? That's got to be part of what we work on. And then I'll show you, we had looked at a couple of those corridors. This is them depicted graphically. So this is Milton, Santa Fe, then Lynch, Cummings, and zoom in on that, and you can see it's kind of a connection behind the commercial uses on the west side of Highway 89. And the intent is to get people from the north part or the northeast part of the city into the rest of the city in a way that doesn't involve them having to ride their bike on Highway 89. And I'm going to go back to foot trails, and you can see that this is really this serves as connection between the North 89 foots, which is right here, and the Route 66 foots, which really begins through here. So if we can make this connection, you would have nice foots to be on all the way into downtown pretty much. But this is really tough right now. So I think you could do it, but you have to have like an advanced knowledge of what's happening behind the parking lot at Jack in the Box, where the opening is in the fence. So I'm just going to stop with that and let you have a discussion or ask questions or whatever you want to do.
Go back to paper. Yeah, could you go back to the ones that are this year or select those again?
Oh, sure, on the map.
Yeah.
You want like foot trails?
Great question. Sure, let's start there. I guess on the crossings front, I'll say I know we've talked about it before, but the crossing of Humphreys and Fine, I think will be really key for everyone trying to cross there, but especially for Flag High. I'm glad that's happening. It's very difficult to cross Humphreys.
There's one other thing I forgot to mention. When the pedestrian committee looked at this last week, they talked about, is there a way where they can kind of review and pick which ones they feel are the most important, like the top 5, the top 3 projects that they really want to emphasize to council. These are the most important ones, and have that information shared. We think there's a way to do that. We can talk about that. I think the advantage is the council will review a fairly lengthy spreadsheet that has a lot of numbers and goes out this way, for 5 years. So it's a lot of information. All of it is really equal in a spreadsheet, right? And there's a lot of projects, so it's kind of hard to see anything beyond, get any information about projects just beyond what's in that spreadsheet. So the thought was if we emphasize the ones that we feel are really important, council will have that information, and that will be of benefit to them in their decision-making when they consider these. The other thing that's beneficial is when we do the capital plan, we consider like what else has to happen with the project before it can move forward. And in some cases, it's acquisition. In some cases, we have to rely on things like the Rio de Flag, which we don't know when it's going to happen, but we can't move a project forward until that happens. So we put those projects kind of behind the other ones and move projects that we know are ready to go toward the front, because we know that the timing is going to work out better. This is kind of what happens with 4th Street. We include it, but because acquisition is really difficult, it's a big question about whether we can actually get to it in a timely way. What we're suggesting for Ped and Bike is if they identify their 5 projects, it would be independent of kind of that considerations of timing and other projects. So just purely what are the important projects? And what that would tell the community and the council is that we should really be working on these, even though they're difficult. If we don't work on difficult things now, we'll never get to them. If we're only doing all the easy things, we'll never get to the difficult ones. But sometimes the difficult ones are still important, even if they're difficult. So this will give kind of a better idea of, like, we really need to work on 4th Street if that's one of the ones that comes up. Or we know that the Milton Bikeway is like a really big project, but it's also really important. Like, is that something that we can move forward on and work on? So what we can do is, for both Ped and Bike, is provide you with this list of projects and then have you like pick your top 5 or just vote on them. And then at the January meeting, come back and like discuss what the top 5 were and maybe come up with, the group's consensus on which ones are important. That sound all right?
Yeah.
That sounds great. Would it be helpful to provide like contextual information on why we think it's important?
Absolutely. Yes, I think that would be crucial. Yeah. So that's something that you can talk about, like why these float to the top.
So we'll have access to the list of projects, so we can process it before the January meeting and
Yes.
come up with our
Yeah.
actual.
Yeah. We think about the timing, next week, the holidays start. Your meeting is in the middle of January, so your meeting is like 2 days away from today. So it's fast, but I bet we can do it.
We've all thought about it.
When would council need that documentation? Like how long's our turnaround time?
Their retreat for the capital plan is in April. So I think by April. And that also gives us time to route it through the Transportation Commission and get their kind of imprimatur on it as well.
Are you getting anything about this in February, the next meeting, or?
Is who getting any information?
Like, yeah, of any of this, like a preview at the February meeting?
For transportation?
Yeah.
Undetermined. I think we'd have to work that out. Presumably, yes, they would have to. Yeah.
I'm like intimidated because there's so many projects. I looked through the enhanced crossings and I was like, yes, I think they got it right. But I
This
couldn't.
is the job we signed up for.
Because I don't know anything about the train rights or land rights but I guess the point is that
You know what you know.
Yeah.
we should do it.
We don't take that into account.
Yeah.
This is what we, like,
This
what-
is right.
You're
No,
on this committee for a reason.
yeah.
Spreadsheets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're here for spreadsheets.
And also maps.
No, I think Val, those are like two really good points, because one is there's a lot of projects, so like getting them down to, like, the more they're narrow, the more kind of highlighted the projects are, the ones that float to the top, and the more likely we are to move forward if we don't have 20 projects to work on, if we have 3 projects to work on.
Yeah.
And then I think that what you mentioned about, you don't know anything about the railroad rights, I think that that's good. Because otherwise, like you say, I think this project is important, and we tell you, oh, no. We'll never get the railroad to agree to that. And then it's squashed right there, instead of saying, this project is important regardless of what its circumstances are. Is there a path for it to move forward?
Do we have to pick 5 from the whole list, or like, can we pick a top 1 per category of type of thing? I don't know how I would weigh, yeah, I don't know how I would weigh like an enhanced crossing versus a trail connection is what I'm saying, like they're both important, but for different reasons. How many priorities can we have?
Many as you need.
Number 1.
Yeah. One A.
5 number 1.
Looks a lot like the list we just reviewed.
Just they seem categorically different, that's all I'm saying, like, I don't know how I would rank them.
Against each other?
Against
Yeah,
each other.
I don't know, I think that's a real challenge.
Okay.
Decision matrix type dartboard.
Right, well, because like, for example, the Humphreys Fine Crossing, there's such a high volume of people around there, although mostly in cars, that I don't know how I'd pit that against some of these like really important little bikeways or foots trail connections, I'm not sure.
I don't know, do you want, I mean, we could provide some guidance.
That would be helpful, yes, I would like some guidance.
Overlay it with accidents.
There was a
and
follow-up to that. We could provide guidance, but yeah, more data layers. Can I clarify things? More data layers.
No.
Right, put the crash data on top of this one.
Oh,
and
yeah,
do,
actually,
you
that
know,
would be helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can just look at them on 2
Yeah.
monitors.
Yes, that's what we'll
One's
do.
the improvements and that one's the crash data.
So is this, do we all come with our ideas in January and do our research? Do we have time to talk about it in January? I guess you're not gonna be here, so you don't care.
Yeah. Chris and Carlton care deeply. Our thought was we could, if we are able to do if you're able to do your part of it and we can get the results, like we can compile that and have that available for you. And then that could kind of facilitate the conversation. You can see which ones multiple people voted for, which ones individuals voted for.
Does that mean there's a ballot? Are you making a ballot for us?
Survey one. Survey one. Yeah.
Survey, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
We'll have to figure that out.
Okay.
Are we all cool with that homework?
Yeah.
I'm cool with
cool.
that.
I'm
Can we do
excited.
ranked choice voting?
This is the
Yeah.
best one.
Yeah.
I just don't think this complicated.
We did an exercise once years ago. We did it for pedestrian committee and bicycle committee. And it was, well, there's a specific name for it. It's like rank order weighted choices where like are you familiar with this? You have like 10 different things that you need to rank. And so you take every 2 combinations and divide up 10 points. So if it's like, the crossing at Humphreys and Fine versus a Foots Trail, you think the crossing at Humphreys and Fine is really important, so you give it a 10 and the Foots Trail 0. Or if they're equal, you give it a 5 and a 5. And
Gosh, Mark.
There's a point to the story. So we did this with, I'm pretty sure we did it with pedestrian advisory committee. We had a spreadsheet all set up. We went through the thing. We were there for it. And then the next week we took it to bike advisory and they said, we're not doing that. They just refused. We won't do that, I promise.
Yeah, send us out something. Or somebody send us something.
Okay, we'll work on it. It's gonna be really super simple.
Yeah,
That's all we can really manage at this point.
no, that's,
Would this
That's
be directed as like a letter, like a report? What would this be directed as? What narrative opportunities do we have here to?
I mean, at the very end, what gets
Yeah,
presented
yeah,
to
like
council,
what-
I think so,
Yes,
yeah,
okay.
like a letter, yeah.
perfect.
I think if there's something like, that isn't the list that you really think is a priority, I think that's fair if everybody agrees on it.
Oh, like a write-in, like an other.
Yeah,
with a blank.
yeah.
Gonna do reports now, is that where we're at? I think we promised Susan an update on the Butler Avenue Complete Streets conversion. That's that, Chris?
Yeah.
Where are we at? Butler Avenue Complete Streets conversion, right.
Did we do our meeting dates of the Bikeways Master Plan?
We did not do the meeting dates. I'm assuming they're the third Thursday of the month.
Yes,
Okay.
so we published them, we'll update the calendar.
Okay.
We did our best to avoid holidays. I think we planned a combined meeting with PAC in November. Since their meeting falls on Thanksgiving, by definition, they'll move a week out. I think all your meetings were pretty safe. They were outside of like holidays or holiday weekends.
I guess we should go in order to safe routes to school infrastructure study. I think that's yours, Cameron. Isn't that what?
Carlton.
Yeah, Kim does the programming stuff and then I'll do the infrastructure and Kim helps a lot. Structure. I'll give an update. I think I'll give you guys regular updates, the project, what it's about. Recently we met with the principal of Sanawa, went over a few options.
Would Allison need a brief recap?
Oh, yeah.
Project is?
Would be helpful.
Oh, yeah, okay. We have a grant to create preliminary plans that would increase walking and biking to various schools around the city. We had to narrow it down to a few specific areas for this grant. We have a large area that's kind of the northeast schools area. So it's the whole north half of Sunnyside, essentially, serving Coconino, Killip, Mems, that whole area. We have the area along Butler where Knowles and Sanawa are that we're looking at. And then there's a bit more targeted, focused piece of it for Mountain Line specifically to look how to serve basis better. And basically it's more of an engineering study on can they get out onto Forest from Pine Cliff? Whereas right now it's limited to right in, right out, so they can't turn left out and then they therefore can't serve it in that direction. That's moving at a pretty engineering specific study looking at site distance and options, how that could work. Some recent updates in the Butler area was meeting with the Sanawa principal. We went over a few options. For the most part, we're looking at paths that would connect Sanawa to Fox Glen that aren't necessarily on the road. So all the kids cut behind all the businesses right now.
That's what
currently?
my kid does.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So we looked into that, chased it, a bit of a hang up with Maverick, doesn't really want to cooperate with some of that stuff.
I cannot believe that because you know how much money Maverick makes per day
I just,
off of middle school kids buying flaming hot Cheetos from them. They literally have lines.
I just aligned the trail right through the middle of the Maverick.
Well, the kids would like that. That's ridiculous.
Oh,
Is there anything I can do?
Bring receipts.
I mean, it is literally like a cash cow for them.
What if we set up our own flaming hot Cheeto station on the bike path and then they don't have to go through Maverick? Like a city of Flagstaff.
Martin's retirement plan.
So I think it's not closed on those options, but that's where that's at. And then the other options would be how to widen the sidewalk. On that side of Butler, it's tricky. It hits grade. It's really fast to widen off the back. Makes all the driveways too steep really quickly. So maybe we're exploring the idea of the separated bikeway, which we have down on Beulah and University, that roundabout idea, which will also be on Butler west of 4th Street coming soon. So maybe we could just continue that concept where the bike lane gets popped up at curb level and separate it as much as possible, travel lanes, all the way to Fox Glen, to extend that from here all the way to Fox Glen. But this is just a study, so it doesn't have the infrastructure dollars yet. Yep, we're gonna, out of this study, we might get another study. We'll see what we can study about. Make a plan. Yes.
Thank you. Safe Streets Master Plan.
One's me. Some brief background on the project. A couple of years ago in the city's capital improvement plan, we had allocated $500,000, well, $250 to create a transportation master plan, which the city currently lacks, and $250,000 to create a Vision Zero action plan that we kind of looked at earlier. So recently, we have applied to the Safe Streets for All program with MetroPlan, our partner agency, to essentially use that $500,000 we had as match towards a bigger grant award. And that was awarded. So now instead of $500,000, we have $2.6 million to create our transportation master plan and a few supplemental materials to it. So a lot more money, a lot more resources available as a result of that application. It's moved forward over the last year. We have a consultant on board to do the bulk of the work with us. We've spent a lot of time refining what a master plan needs to do for the city. And recent updates include initiating the project on December 3rd. We had our official project management team kickoff with Kittleson and identified the first fleet of tasks and subtasks to begin work on. A lot of it is very heavy on visioning and getting an understanding of all the work that's been done to this point, because we're not working from zero when it comes to transportation master planning. And yeah, so they're underway now. The project has begun and it's scheduled to take place pretty intensely over the next 2.5 years or so. And then Kittleson will stay on board with us through the remainder of that 3rd year to help with implementation. So very exciting that project's underway.
It's been wild to me that we have an ATMP, but we don't have a TMP.
Yeah. Yeah, we need that.
That says a lot about who we are.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I mean, we're really looking to fill that gap between our regional plan and the plans that the ATMP, like that planning level. We need something that's sort of cohesive between the two. And the Butler Avenue Complete Streets conversion. Yes, brief background on this one, another Safe Streets for All grant award. This one is for design and construction to rebuild Butler Avenue from Milton Road to Sawmill Road. And what's going to happen is the pilot bike lanes that we have now that have the curbs separating, ultimately those will be taken out and the sidewalk will be extended to the current width of the bike lanes, and in where possible, we'll also fit parkway in, so you have even better separation for motor vehicles. But ultimately, we're taking the bike lane off of Milton Road and, providing separation for cyclists. In addition to that, at San Francisco, Beaver, and Sawmill, the intersections will be rebuilt as protected intersections with enhanced features for peds and bikes to be able to get across Butler Avenue. So very exciting project, $12.4 million grant project, 9.6 awarded by the feds, and that is also underway. We have a consultant on board for design, and phase 1 design is underway, which is the background environmental clearances and getting to 30% design. Both of those things should be tied up by February of 26, and then we'll look to move into final design through the bulk of 2026 and looking to construction in 27, probably complete construction in 28.
Those protected crossings, is that like a tunnel or a bridge, or what is that?
So it's all, so the ped and bike infrastructure will be at grade. So it resembles what's there now, but there's features that are built into the roadway to help create separation in time and space for turning movement. So vehicles and where pedestrians stage. So it ultimately just a few tweaks that improve visibility, and you can mess with signal timing as well to create better space for people who are trying to get across the road versus those who are in cars. If you've driven through Lone Tree recently, there's a couple of, or Lone Tree and Sawmill, Lone Tree Butler. That is halfway through a similar protected intersection rebuild. So you can see some of these like pretty interesting pedestrian, I don't know, what's the best thing to call them? Curb cuts, or what would you guys call them? These big features that ultimately separate pedestrians from cars.
You're talking about like in the median, in the island, there'll be places for the pets to hang out.
Not exactly. It's more like they're kind of like the shape of a football, and they sit in the four corners of the intersection. And cars now have to go around them instead of cutting close to the curb where pedestrians stage. So that creates a little bit more space and sight distance.
Lone Tree and Butler, you said?
Yeah, Lone Tree and Butler, they're on the north side right now, but they will be. I don't think that they're on the south side yet.
Yeah, as a bicyclist, you merge off the street bike lane into the kind of like the sidewalk where the pedestrians stage for the light. And then when you get to the other side, it merges right back in. So it kind of separates you at the same intersection.
I like that.
Yeah, it's kind of neat. Kind of nice.
Yeah. We can take another, especially, we haven't done it in a while with this group, but we can revisit the plans that we have for Butler Avenue. Now that we have a couple more members on and we're looking ahead to the rest of the project. I think that these protected intersections are going to become more common in Flagstaff as we look ahead.
Yeah, we can share an image. This one will probably work as good
Oh,
Yes.
Okay.
as any. So the green is really the path of travel for a cyclist, and the pedestrian is kind of behind that. So you never, as a cyclist, you go through an intersection without having to go through the middle of the intersection or to face like left turning traffic, for example, as a conflict.
And what about intersections, like at 4th Street. I mean, when I was last here, they were talking about single roundabouts, double roundabouts
Butler?
on 4th and Butler.
That's next.
Yes. Butler Fourth Corridor Project.
Oh.
Yeah,
What about you?
that was more, it's mostly happening in the capital improvements people, but we can have a good input on the review of that. So it's in design with consultants. It's gonna go straight into construction. And then also probably 27 into 28 for construction. Last year, they worked on 30% plans from the roundabout to about Little America. And the roundabout ended up being, it's a 2-lane roundabout. It'll have one what's underpass from the northwest to the southeast. Be the path of that underpass. So then it connects into the wash foots down there, which gets you to Fox Glen.
It will go under the
Under-
circle.
Under the roundabout, yeah. It needs some hefty grading just to make it work for its own purposes. So it's in a huge fill area, so, and a wash goes under it, so a bit of a opportunity to throw that in. So it fits already. It still costs money, but it fits already. Right now, they're doing 30% plans. They're trying to catch up. Little America had some moving parts of where they wanted access, road and stuff. So they're gonna catch up to 30% plans from Little America through the I-40 interchange. That'll be the extent of the project.
Where is this underpass?
All right, this is just an example of a protected roundabout. Using the same principles as a protected intersection, but applying them to a roundabout.
So this is gonna be at 4th Street, Butler.
Yeah.
Kind of.
But that's gonna be 2
Protected.
lanes, not 1 lane? Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah.
So one thing that we found at like the 4th roundabout, it's 2 lanes. And I know it's supposed to be kind of traffic calming, but it seems like when cars are approaching it, they're doing the opposite. 'Cause they're wanting to like
Speeding up.
get in before like other cars get there. So
This is 4th Cedar Lockett.
yeah,
Specifically where 4th Street goes from 2 lanes down to 1 lane into the roundabout.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We already have an example of this at Butler, I'm sorry, Beulah University is
Oh, yeah.
the bike path through the roundabout is separated from
Right.
car traffic.
And whenever I ride that one, there's not many cars there. So it always like rides really great, but I don't know. Like I hear you guys talk about things during rush hour and I'm like, oh, I need to like get out during rush hour. and see what this is like.
I feel like it still holds up
Okay.
when
Yeah.
it's busy. Yeah, I really like that one.
Hardly wait. Like your San Francisco experience. Get out there with cars.
Mobility
Yeah.
share. This one's also made not a ton of updates from our more recent meetings, but this topic is related to an initiative to take or to explore bringing a vendor for e-bikes and e-scooters to the city. A lot of outreach has gone on through the last year, been to council twice, a lot of nothing but support from council, as long as everything that we've heard through outreach to our committees and commissions continues to be considered and live at the center of the program. We, in recent weeks, we continue to meet and now are exploring fees that we need to, or fees that we can charge a vendor, whether that's a annual per vendor flat rate fee or a per device fee, or a per ride fee, ways that we can ultimately offset some of the costs of the city taking on and overseeing this program. So we're getting closer to that and also looking to or exploring what management of the program is really going to look like on the city side ahead of taking it on. We're looking to explore assembling an RFP review board. So that's kind of a sign that things are starting to move, because ultimately that would mean posting a request for proposals that vendors could reply to, and then the project sort of starts to move along. Do you have anything to add to that, Kim?
No, that was really great. I don't wanna take away. You did a really good job. I do whatever Chris asked me to do.
Good answer. And there's no outreach to specific companies yet. We're not there. No, we, being this, contacting you. The city has been contacted by vendors because they're interested in coming to Flagstaff, and that's one of the motivations for reopening this conversation. What is it gonna look like if we decide to say yes and take this on?
Competition in the market, that means we can kind of call the shots a little.
Yeah, we can be more picky, and a lot of competition has worked itself out in other places over the last 5 years. So programs generally run smoother than they did in 2021.
That seems like.
We're in a pretty good position to explore taking something like this on.
Road repair and street safety, how long did we schedule for that topic?
Go through every street one by one. That is our maintenance program essentially now, and we got the list of what they're looking to do for maintenance. I'll go through some of the interesting ones that we got to tack on a little bit of extra work with some input. Dodge over on the east side over there, they're gonna do a full road repair, a full depth kind of redo of it. We're asking right now for shoulders for bike lanes. So 6-foot bike lane on each side right now, just wide lanes with no shoulder at all. We should get a bike lane there that'll connect. Linda Vista, they're doing a mill and overlay, so we can restripe it however we please, the same width. The back, where it easily fits a bike buffer, so we'll do that. Marketplace over on the east side, it's just they're just repairing cracks and gonna put down some oil to a fog seal, they call it. You'll let it. So yeah, that shows through pretty fast, so we can't shift striping there, but we could add striping. And it looks like we can add a small buffer to the bike lane on each side there. Just encroach into the through lane.
We'll take it.
Yeah. Then the same thing on a good chunk of industrial for that one. On Schweitzer Canyon, it is just a crack repair box seal project. But I think we'll bring our own funds to it if we need to. As long as they're mobilized there, there's a lot of sidewalk infill that we have plans for already from another project. So we might get some gaps filled on the sidewalk in there.
Good. Stuff. Bicycle friendly community status. Have we heard back? I know you guys did a lot of work on that application.
We did do a lot of work. We did get some feedback recently that they need more time to review. And we should hear back sometime in January.
Oh, you're saying there's a chance.
And there's a chance. Unfortunately, Martin won't be around to bask in the glory. But he'll know.
Or disappointment, depending.
Yeah.
If Tempe can be gold, we should be.
I know, right?
Tempe had somebody run over a person and they never arrested him. They're gold. It just doesn't make sense.
That should be an automatic demotion.
Yeah.
I don't think we have any vacancies, but we do have appointments, which we introduced earlier.
Yep, at the last Transportation Commission, they appointed 2 new people. Mark is traveling, but he'll be here at the January meeting. And of course, you met Allison.
Excellent.
So we're full. For the moment, we're full.
All right.
Great.
Just keep rocking and rolling. Informational items from the commissioners. Who went to the Transportation Committee meeting? You both did.
Yeah.
How'd it go?
Well, they called on us to talk. And
Did they?
Yeah, they did. Our minds just went completely blank on anything we've ever done. Relates to bicycles. We figured it out eventually.
Yeah.
We recalled what we had been talking about.
That's great. I love that engagement. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we're so much more present there than we've ever been.
Yeah, no, I want to go all the time,
Excellent.
talk about.
Yeah, I think the commission members appreciated having us there,
Yeah.
which is why they made us talk.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, next time I'll be prepared.
Do we want to volunteer the new person for the next one?
No. That's cruel.
That seems cruel.
Get settled in.
Okay, we won't do that. Who's going to the next one? Kevin?
Kevin signed.
I'm gonna try to go to them in general for this reason. So I can probably do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I actually did try to log into the transportation meeting, but it wouldn't let me in.
They didn't know who you were yet.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
You can email next time that happens. I've had that happen and
Okay.
someone's usually fixed it for me within 10 minutes or so.
Okay, thank you.
Let's brainstorm a couple of agenda items for next meeting.
I have something too.
Wait.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
For like, our turn to.
Yep. that's
Okay, so I think at our last meeting, we were talking about crash data. I have some crash data to add to that. December 9th, my husband was run into on 4th. And I think 4th was one of the streets that was a hot spot, but like, we didn't know why it was a hot spot. He's fine. He has bloody knuckles, that's it. But, so he was riding north on 4th, north of Route 66, not to the roundabouts yet. He was kind of approaching 7th in the bike lane. And he had a high vis jacket on. And there was a red light ahead at 7th, so he was passing cars in the bike lane. And then there were cars that were turning right onto 7th that had their blinker on. That was fine. One of the cars that had previously passed him and was stopped past him and then turned early into the marathon. It was a van and he hit the back of it. The driver did stop and was very nice. And he was okay, but that's what happened.
And did the cops come?
No.
So that is not in the crash data.
Yeah. He didn't, like, there was no.
No, it's okay. I mean, that's why it's a very good example of how our crash data doesn't capture.
But it, I mean, that
A
was one of the
large
hot spots, so
Yeah.
it does
Yeah.
show that
Yeah,
that's.
absolutely.
It was also, we had 38% of crashes involved with bikes involve right turning vehicles. And
Right.
there's another one.
Driveways, yeah.
My body's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At
We
the
went
bike
helmet,
shop,
obviously.
Always a helmet, yeah.
I work at a bike shop and I see people come in all the time. It's like, oh, I just got hit. And the first thing I say is like, report it. You need to get this data into the city.
And you can't make a claim without a.
Yeah.
Bike's okay too.
Oh, both made it.
Well, there you
Wow.
go.
I have an item too before you get this thing, which is I have a visual aid, which I forwarded to Chris, and I'm gonna ask him to pull it up from his email, which is that Martin's retiring. We need to announce formally. And so I put together a presentation for him.
I'll see this on the agenda.
Oh, just now. Okay.
That's why I snuck it into, I'm a commissioner. I have 3 minutes, I believe. Yeah. Can you project that? It's just a Google presentation. I also have it on.
Oh, right here.
But things are, I can't prepare in case this wouldn't work.
I think we're in business. Okay.
Thanks.
Oh.
You spend the holidays here at work. Yay. And then what are you gonna do?
You'll be in
Whatever I
fine.
want.
You-
Yeah, I'll
you'll
be
be here. Okay.
fine, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm taking the screen. We are in business.
Wow.
You got the slideshow?
It's bug.
In a purple shirt.
So I don't have. I told you I was gonna do this, so you were warned. But I asked some folks in the room and others to share some photos for your 28 years at the city, many of which were in the role that you're currently in. Can you go to the next slide? Unfortunately, I don't know everything about every photo, but I did want to share this excerpt from the Daily Sun for when you were appointed to the position that you have now in 2005. And I put the data from that article about your background into this slide.
It's like my LinkedIn.
I don't know why they included this at the end of the article, but they did.
Ordinance is framed.
Yeah. So that everyone can enjoy this. If you want a copy and you're not a Daily Sun subscriber, I can let you get that. Can you go to the next slide? Okay, and then otherwise, people sent me these photos and I don't know what all of them are of. So if people in this room do know, they should speak up.
I think that the lower left is self-explanatory.
Yeah.
It's quite clear what's going on.
Flathead.
That's fine. Okay, but here are some various moments from your career. I know what some of these are, but some of them I couldn't figure out, so you're gonna have to tell us. But this is from one of the night rides during Bike to Work Week. Is that what the Giro de Luna, is that what that's from?
Yep.
Okay, this is from when you did the League of American Bicyclists safety training. This, I can't tell you, there's a proclamation, but it was too blurry to read. Any ideas?
Bike to Work Week. No.
Okay, Bike to Work Week. This was what, 2009, when FBO gave you the brick for bicycle advocacy? Kim, what's the photo of you in?
Random
I
photo.
made the brick. I made that brick.
Yeah, there's another photo.
Made that brick.
I've only met a few times.
Cute, next slide. Okay, and then this is where I should have emailed Kim earlier than today to get some other key points from your career. But these are the ones that I could find with limited Googling. So you can fill in the gaps. Here, Kim, help me out here. What else did I miss?
Martin was instrumental in the passing of the bicycle helmet ordinance in 2010.
Dang it, I'll add that.
He was very involved in Safe Kids Coconino County. And I'm pretty sure he helped me get my first job with the Safe Routes to School in the county. Because we didn't have a program, and I'm pretty sure you helped us get a program. Yes, don't deny it. And I don't know, there was something else. And you're gonna stick around and help me get more LCIs in this town.
We did, I'll add one. We did rewrite the city's bike code from scratch. It
When was
was
that?
a disaster previous to that.
What year?
Sometime in the 2005 to 2025 timeframe.
In the odds.
Thanks.
Remember?
No.
Okay, anyone else in this room remember something I forgot about Martin's illustrious career?
Open space. You did a lot of open space work.
Was that in the 90s? Or in the
No.
2000s? So there was,
Like since we've had a mission, like we tend to plan foot trails and open space cooperatively.
We got on the LAB map with our first bike-friendly city.
oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
when was that?
2006.
I'll update this for future uses. Slide.
Martin, is this gravel bike still in the garage? I don't think.
Yes, it is.
Great. This is pretty looking bad.
I like the shifter.
Our ends. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Okay, these are just photos that I could determine what the date was. So here's some other highlights, but that's Susan with the aforementioned brick. All right, next slide.
Thank God I didn't get arrested that time.
Okay, and these are photos where I could not determine the date, except one from Estella, with Estella, and it's from 2018. Some of them are quite small, so they're hard to see, but
Nance and you and Jeff.
And some of them are from Sonala High School. Martin, what are those? What are, I got sent a bunch of photos of some sort of planning thing that looked
Oh,
like
that
this.
was for the ATMP.
Oh, it was, okay.
Where was the hike? Max?
Wow. Is that Perea?
Yes, I think so, based on the file name.
Looks like Perea, yeah.
Okay, I think I speak for all of us when we want to say thank you for all of your tireless advocacy over many years and your hard work in a variety of roles. I know I'm personally very appreciative of everything that you've done, and I think that's true of everyone in this room. And I have one more slide.
Yeah, that is. And then there's some sweet rides too.
Okay, and then we did get you, as you saw, we got you some little gifts. So this high vis vest is from everyone in the BAC. We signed it. If anyone didn't sign it, sign it. And then, Matt, do you want to talk about the bell?
BAC got you a bell, because kind of like give us voice. You know, you let us ring our bell and all the complaints we have, and you know, got you a bell. We want you to keep ringing your bell.
You gotta ring it for us.
Yeah.
Come on, that's a beauty.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that.
And this is from the BAC as well.
It's a good one.
Oh,
Very piercing.
angels getting their wings all over the place.
Yeah, Daniel, it's chair. Do you want to tack on to this presentation?
Yeah, it's a great run. You will be missed.
Yeah, thank you.
And that's from the BAC as well.
Bicycle.
You probably already have one.
Oh, wow. Beautiful.
Probably.
Mine is like literally circa 1992. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, Martin, can you give the committee some of the stats you gave us the other day?
Oh, yes. So I've been with the city since 1997. It's actually 28 years, but in this position since 2005. I think the BAC became an official committee of the city in 2007, but they kind of met informally before that. And I think I've gone to almost all monthly meetings. I think I probably missed 2 in that time period, although to be fair, there were probably a couple times where I went ahead and canceled it because I had a vacation or that did happen, but that's more than 200 BAC meetings in that time period. Also 200 PAC meetings, so that's like 400 meetings over the course of
Life well spent.
When we moved here from Chicago in 1997, and when I lived in Chicago, I lived in the city and worked in the suburbs, and it was under good conditions, a 45-minute commute by car. And there were never good conditions. It was always like an hour or more. And I tried one Saturday to see what it would be like to ride my bike to where I worked, 45 miles away. I never made it. I got like within 5 miles. I can't do this anymore. I just stopped and went back.
What suburb?
Orland Park. And we live like on the near northwest side. And so, you know, after that experience of, that's a lot of driving, like every day. It really takes a lot out of you. So we moved here. I promised myself that I would never drive to work again, and I haven't. I haven't driven to work in 28 years. You know, it's either been by bike or when the weather's bad, I'll take the bus. And you know, lately, the definition of bad weather has gotten much more liberal. There's this much snow on the ground. That's something like, I don't know, I don't know the exact math, but like 13,000 commutes and about 40,000 miles over the course of that time.
That's a lot of gallons of gas.
Yeah. And I don't know, it's been a long trip. Doing the PAC and the BAC has been just a labor of love. It's just absolutely great to, kind of feed on the enthusiasm from those groups. I think that the people who serve in these committees are very special. Bicyclists kind of naturally tend towards advocacy and pedestrians as well, but kind of less naturally. Everybody who signs up for a committee does it because they are really, really interested and passionate about those issues. There's literally no other reason to do it. I think a lot of people carry a lot of enthusiasm and passion. I think what you quickly realize is that when you sign up for the city commission, you're part of the city structure, and we just don't do advocacy like in the same way that FBO does, nor do we move like super fast all the time. I don't know if you picked up on that over the years. That's been obvious. So really, part of that is that everybody is able to kind of translate your enthusiasm for getting things done into a patience that things just like it takes persistence and hard work and kind of keeping at it to get things done. We've been working at these things for a long time. Even now we go month to month and we give you these kind of incremental status reports on, well, we expect construction in early 2028. Wow.
Like an eye.
Oh, yeah, it's a blink of an eye. So that part has really been gratifying for me, just to be able to interact with the people who've been willing to give their time to serve on these committees and hang in there and really provide a public service.
Well, and as a person who's never been involved in the government before, to come onto this committee and have you spoon feed us every month the information that we need to know in order to have an informed opinion has been everything. Made it really easy.
You guys will take it to it. I'm always impressed at how, very, very much knowledgeable about bike issues, but I think that one of your skills or your talents or your strengths is that you're able to kind of see everything in a bigger picture. Like when we reviewed the regional plan, for example, like there are bike issues, yes, but bicycling fits into a larger context of transportation, fits into a larger context of land use. And I think you guys really see that.
And thank you for your service. All right, that's the meeting, guys. Calling it.
So, retirement party with beers tomorrow?
3 o'clock?
Did you have a flyer put up or anything there, Mark?
I don't know if that's still there. Yeah, Mother Road tomorrow. Did y'all get the invitation?
At 3:30, right?
3:30.
Some of us, I got one said 3 and one said 3:30, so.
So what's the real time?
3:30.
3:30.
9:30.
Just waiting.
Yeah.
Sadly, I'll be driving.
Oh.
I'm kind of to Utah.
Oh, if you're there.
No biking?
Oh my God.
Hiking and hiking, yeah.
Park City.
No.